Here with me today is this 2023 Porsche 911 GT3 RS, specifically the 992 generation of the 911. And we're going to talk in depth about some of the cool features on this car and what just makes this car an ultimate track monster when it comes to taking this thing out on the streets, tracks, highways, and everything just like that. Let's get right into it though. Now, starting with the front end of this car, you'll notice that it is a lot more aggressive than the previous generation and the GT3 RS. Don't get me wrong, it's still a great looking car and still one of my favorites. But I really do love the design changes they did up here. It looks more aggressive. It looks like a lot like the GT cars that you'll see racing in Daytona and at Le Mans. And one thing I really like about this car is, just like the GT racing cars, you do have a big center front radiator right down here, but pushes air up through the hood right here. So since you do have that right there, you don't get that trunk space like you would on a normal 911. But this car is not really meant for the storage space. This is a track car, but it still does really great on the streets as well. One of my favorite features is that a lot of the parts on this car are made from carbon fiber, so this hood is super lightweight. It's got that cool design that you see on previous like GT2 RSs, where it's got that part carbon fiber hood, part painted, so it looks really good, it looks really sporty. Continuing out the front end of this car, since it does have the radiator up here, and since this is a 911, this is a rear engine car, meaning the engine sits behind the rear axle. And this car does come with a 4-liter naturally aspirated flat 6 engine, and it produces 518 horsepower and 342 pound-feet of torque, which is perfect amount for this car. It's a lightweight track car, and this thing has a 0 to 60 of 3 seconds and a top speed on the track recorded at 184 miles an hour. This thing can get you where you need to go, get you from point A to point B as fast as possible. All right, next, moving on to the side of the car, you'll notice that there are quite a few changes here, but it still looks like a 911. Still got that same fly line that you've seen since the 60s, just to let you know that this is still a 911. But one of the greatest features on this car, in my personal opinion, is that these wheels, I love the colorful wheels on these cars. It's just a little bit different feature than you'd see on a standard 911. Yeah, you can get painted wheels on those 911s as well sometimes, but I really love this, and it is finished in that satin pyro red color, which really stands out. And continuing on with these wheels, these are forged lightweight magnesium wheels. You've got 20-inch wheels in the front and 21-inch wheels in the back. Gives it that a little bit sportier looking feel. And these tires are also super wide, so you get more grip on the track as well. Now, continuing on with more carbon fiber parts, you got the carbon fiber housing on the mirrors. You got the carbon fiber up here, and then you've also got just carbon fiber everywhere on this car. You may not be able to see it, but this car is a lot lighter than normal 911s. Next thing we're going to talk about is that you've got the typical GT3 RS strip right here, just letting you know what kind of car you have, but it also matches the wheels as well, and I really like that feature. It looks great, and it really takes me back to the earlier RS 911s. It looks just like that. To me, it's a modern take on it, and it looks really good. Let's move on to the back of the car. Now, the back of the car, which I think is the most aggressive styling part of the car, but back here, we have a massive spoiler, and it's way bigger, honestly, than the 991 generation of the GT3 RS. It has that swan neck wing design. It's the same spoiler you see on the GT racing cars. It looks great, but continuing on with the wing, this wing does have a drag reduction system, otherwise known as DRS, which means that this flap right here actually adjusts depending on what speed you're going to give you a little bit more aerodynamics and more downforce. Continuing on, moving down a little bit further, we do have that light bar that extends all the way across. You see that across all the 992 generation of the 911. It looks really good, it's really sporty. And if we move a little bit further down, you do see that we have a stainless steel exhaust right here, and this thing just sings, especially when you're hitting that max range of 9,000 RPMs. This thing is a beautiful symphony of engine combustion, and it just sounds amazing. Overall, I think Porsche did a great job with the redesign of the new 911 GT3 RS. And personally, this was my favorite generation. I think it looks the best, it sounds the best, and I think it also drives the best. But let's move on to the interior. Next, now that we're inside the car, this is a really comfortable place to be. You may not think so since this is a sports car, but actually this is probably the most comfortable sports car I've ever sat in. I really love these bucket seats. They really hug you. They're a little bit difficult to get in, but if I'm getting a sports car like this, I want bucket seats. I want to feel like I'm in a race car. So I really like that. But this car also does have that red accent all over the stitching on this car. You got on the door, you got on the steering wheel, I see it on the dash. It's just everywhere, and it's a nice little touch that you don't really notice as you get in the car. But as I've been sitting here, I've noticed a lot more about it. Now, this car does have carbon fiber that also continues throughout the car. It's right here on the dash. It's got right around the cup holders. It looks great, and I mean, this car is all about carbon fiber. The door handles are even carbon fiber, and to add a little bit more lightweight to it, there's a little center cutout right here, so they didn't need to use all the material. And it may not look like a big cutout, but all these cutouts over time, they really add up to make a lightweight car. Continue with the getting rid of all the heavy stuff. This car doesn't have the normal door handles that you see inside the car. It's got the rope pulls, which are a lot lighter to install. And honestly, I feel like I'm in a race car. And that's why, honestly, this is my dream car. Like, if I could have any car in the world, it would be this one right here. But continue on, there's still more. We got a beautiful display screen right here. This is where you can adjust your aerodynamics. You can adjust your spoiler. You can adjust your ride height and stuff like that. It's got everything you would need in today's day and times. You got all the creature comforts you could ask for. There's also some toggle switches up here that allow you to turn off your traction control, allow you to adjust your springs and dampeners, and adjust your front axle height, depending on if you're going up big or small curves as well. Overall, the interior design of this car looks great. We've got the white stock package throughout this car, so you do get a little bit more sporty look and feel throughout the entire car, especially on the exterior. There's a few key differences between the white stock package and just the standard GT3 RS. You also have tons of switches on this steering wheel right here. You can adjust your drive mode, your traction control, and a couple other switches. But overall, it's a great looking interior, great looking car, and I am so ecstatic about what Porsche did with this car, and I'm happy to say this is my favorite Porsche ever built. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.